Let's say you open up a video file on your computer, a recording of you on the beach during a family vacation when you were a child. What do you see? Well, you see you, as a child, running into and out of the waves. If you showed that to a friend, they'd see much the same thing. Are you moving? Yes, of course. You're running into and out of the sea. You can see that. But you're not moving, not really. What you're seeing as movement is a series of still images. For digital video, usually somewhere between 24 and 60 images each second. These images are played in sequence rapidly enough that your brain, due to something called persistence of vision, stitches the separate images of you together to create the illusion of movement. You're not moving, not really. And that's not really you on the screen. It's a series of lights, tiny little discrete dots called pixels, lighting up in concert according to a program which takes information from a file and coordinates those pixels in a way organized to give you the impression of yourself as a child. What seems solid in our experience is instead a series of sleight-of-hands, tricks that our brain and nervous system use to construct a sense of a real world out there and a real self in here. Our experiences have more in common with the video of you on the beach than we tend to be aware of. Everything is constantly shifting and changing, inside and out. You, your physiology, your nervous system, your psychology, are creating the sense of solidity. Standing on the beach, looking out over the ocean, it might feel as if you're seeing the world simply as it is, a seamless, fully immersive reality. The experience that you're having, however, is as much a creation of your mind as it is when you look at an image on a screen. Uncountable numbers of photons strike the retinas at the back of your eyes, hitting photoreceptor cells and triggering chemical reactions that convert light into electrical signals, which are then sent along the optic nerve to the visual cortex at the back of your brain. Your visual cortex now has to process, refine, and interpret this flood of information, identifying edges and contours, separating out objects from the background, analyzing contrast and movement. Different regions of the brain work in parallel to decode color, depth, and motion, piecing together a cohesive view of the scene. The brain then combines all these separate elements into a single unified image, which is still only piecemeal. And so your brain fills in gaps based on past experience, internal predictions, and learned models of how the world usually looks. What seems most present, simple, and obvious to us about ourselves is stitched actively out of countless embodied associations, which further get woven into elaborate concepts and conceptual mappings in varying scales of complexity before we ever become aware of any experience. And every little element of this process constrains, enables, and becomes confused for what we experience. This is an activity. It's something we do, and we are both the agent and the outcome of this activity. All of this happens at speeds fast enough that we aren't aware of the stitching, the guesses, the fills. Experience feels continuous and immediate. What you're seeing is an artwork your brain and mind have carefully pieced together from fragments of data. Perception is creative. That whole process is necessary before you could ever see a pixel, but most people, if you show them the image, won't even see the pixels. Ask 100 people on the street what this image is, and there may be one or two smartasses who say something like, "It's a computer," but most people are going to say, "It's a child on a beach," not "It's an image of a child on a beach," or "It's a plethora of pixels generating an image of a child on the beach." Show it to your mom, and she won't even see a child on a beach. She'll see you in 1995 in Miami. Or was it 1996? While most of this is happening completely unconsciously and is inaccessible to us outside of non-ordinary conditions, like prolonged meditation training, being under the influence of various substances, damage or injury to our neurological functioning, etc., it is possible to see through much of how we do this. We can notice the seams and the process of stitching. The deeper and more steadily we are able to look, the more fundamental the seams are that we notice. Seeing these seams, seeing through the solidity of the world, is insight. One aspect of meditation is that it acts as a sharpening of the mind, allowing you to look more and more closely at the sleight of hand and start to see the magician's tricks, as it were. We can see through the way that we construct our experiences of self and the world. This doesn't make the world or you disappear necessarily. It's more like a lucid dream, where you are aware that you are dreaming, and life happens around and as an expression of this. When you come across a snake in the jungle dusk, then look twice and realize the snake is just a coiled rope, you're no longer worried about the snake. You are never in danger, but if you'd turned from the snake and run away, you would never have known. If you do turn towards your experience and investigate it in particular ways, you'll find that more and more of what you had taken as being real and solid turns out to be the stuff of dreams, dancing light on a screen, creating illusions. What's left is the screen, awareness itself. This can happen in an almost literal way, where in very deep states of concentration and insight there is simply no more experience. But it's also possible to recognize the screen while any experience whatsoever is appearing on the screen. The screen is here in either case. Everything is and always has been the screen, aware of itself and every light which takes place on it, contained by none of them. All of our troubles, all of our suffering, it all takes place on the screen, none of it changing the screen itself. To live with this recognition brings a deep and fundamental freedom. Freedom doesn't mean fantasy. Shit still happens. Life has its ups and downs. Freedom doesn't mean special. Wonderful sometimes, but it's the revealing of something which has always been the case, the basis for all experiencing, not some special new thing you have. You can just live. You don't have to react to life so much anymore. Pain seems to cause our difficulties in life, but pain is just an experience taking place on the screen, like any other. When we get wrapped around pain, push off of it, when we grasp desperately for something we desire, this is reactivity, and this is suffering. But, you might object, if it's possible to see through this, to live in a way which has more or less relinquished this suffering, why would we generate suffering for ourselves in the first place? We'll examine this question over the course of the next few videos. This is part 5 of the 12-part first chapter in the series You Are Looking at a Screen. For more, check out the notes for this video and please like and subscribe for the full series. If you have any questions, if you've found this helpful or have criticisms, leave a comment. For workshops, free meditations, individual instruction, and more, head to andrewlewisvenezia.life. Be well, be good, and be free.